Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's exciting fight! Over here on the left side of the arena, or the right, depending on where the fuck you're sitting, we have two retards who don't know what they're in for. And on the other side of the arena, overlooked by our esteemed fight god, what's his name again? I don't fucking remember. We have Willkak, the man who keeps coming back, even though we tell you to fuck off every other week. Anyway, a fight with a Willkak is always a fight you do not want to miss, folks. Alright, now with that being said, are you ready, Willkak? The fight was supposed to say something back to me, retard. There we go. I couldn't hear you though over all the heavy breathing you're doing. I deserve that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Willkak's Guide to Gorn. Hope to see you at the end of the video. Fucking bye!
Gorn is a VR fighting game where you stand in an arena and beat the crap out of everyone who runs towards you. Come to think of it, I feel like I've already made a video on a similar type of game to this. Hold on a second. Oi, Dave!
Yeah, mate, what's up?
Haven't I already talked about the principles of VR Melee? What's really the point of this? Look, I know that's how some of you are thinking right now, that I've already made a video on Blade Sorcery, so why the hell am I talking about Gorn? Aren't they essentially the exact same game? Well, for one thing, no, dickhead, otherwise they would be the exact same game. And for another thing, this isn't so much of a guide on Gorn itself, it's more of a comparison between the two, explaining the differences between them in gameplay and... or mainly just gameplay, because I severely doubt many people will fail to notice the change in art style. Alright, with that said, let's start with something I'm an expert in. Gorn is brutal, and that's saying something if you've seen my Blade and Sorcery video, because I did some messed up stuff in it. I mean, just to refresh your memory, aeronautical asphyxiation, 2 wenches down a well, the thing where I spun 2 people around and bonked one of their heads against a pillar, and 3rd-degree burns all up that dude's back. But that's got really nothing on the level of gore in Gorn. Oh, that's pretty funny, I just realised that. It's Gorn. Oh. I don't just mean severing a limb every now and then, I'm talking about picking up human beings and quite literally tearing them limb from limb, crushing their heads like cans in your hand, and just for old time's sake, you can still de-limb people, but now instead of losing consciousness immediately or dying of blood loss, they continue being conscious until you decide to finish them, leaving them to attempt to exact their revenge while crawling at you with no legs for as long as your twisted heart will allow them. Oh, you're such a kind person for sparing their life. Well, never mind, that was short-lived. Part of this increase in brutality is due to the different amounts of ways people can die in this game. Every cut, smack, bop, bruise, and facial deformity left behind due to an unforeseen day of gladiatorial combat, oh come on, don't lie, we've all had one of those before, can lead to a different way the body expresses the injury. Cuts and slashes generally sever the body, whilst blunt objects cause a sudden eruption of red pixels on the ground.
I just bled all over that wall. That was just stunning.
Oh, that's neat, the blood runs down the walls. Stabbing with enough finesse can even cause the victims to relieve to their heart for a short while.
Beep. Beep. Thank you.
Hey, look at this, that's cute. There's even a button to tone down the gore and lower the violence. This is usually where I would show you what that looks like, but I don't believe I've ever used it before, and this is a Willkak's Guide to Gorn. How the hell is Willkak supposed to show you what something looks like if Willkak's never used it before and doesn't think it's that important, or didn't use it, like, literally at all? I didn't talk about lanterns and dauntless and slow-mo and Blade and Sorcery purely because I never even used them, or because they were self-explanatory. Let's look at some Blade and Sorcery for a sec. Oh my Jesus! We literally only just got here and now the head's already flying. Okay, let's change it to something more mellow, yeah? Ah yes, there we go. So, now we've got this downtime, let's talk about structure. There is a reason I started my Blade and Sorcery guide with Blade and Sorcery is a VR Melee sandbox game in which because rather than linear progression, you instead choose from one of 5 locations and just start flinging people and metal around like never before. Disclaimer, Blade and Sorcery is in early access and will probably change at some point, so don't be surprised when it does. Gorn, meanwhile, not only boasts 9 funish level... Hey Dave.
Yep.
Would you call these levels?
I mean, I guess so. You do go through a loading screen to get there, and each has a somewhat unique encounter at the end, which is essentially just a really strong enemy, but could be considered a boss or a mini-boss fight.
Ah, okay, thanks. Anyway, 9 levels all with their own unique boss fights, we'll put that in quotes there, with cute gimmicks to make them more interesting for just a straight-up 1v1 with a slightly stronger man, each having tougher and more fashionable armor, if I might say so myself. Damn, he's looking fresh. Unorthodox fighting styles as well. I mean, this man just jumps at you. How tough is it can be to kill him? Ah, I see. I was doing it all wrong, guys. You actually need to fight fire with fire and use rock on him.
Flying rock, more like... fuck off.
See? Works like a charm. One thing that you need to know about me is that I'm not very good at subscribing to a single playstyle for very long amounts of time. I prefer to be a generalist and accomplish anything, even if it means I have to put in a bit more effort and do something a bit harder, than being extremely focused and committed to one thing that's less applicable to doing everything else to do that one thing really well. I find that stupid. Due to this, I really appreciate how Blade Sorcery allows for the weapon slots to essentially allow me to change my playstyle on the go. So if I feel like using a heavy weapon, all I have to do is put away my 2 one-handed weapons or my one sword of all I want to do, pull out them all and smack down, or vice versa if I feel like using a one-handed weapon. Whilst we're on the subject of weapons, look how floppy these damn things are. Apart from saying that the rubbery nature of these things is entertaining as hell, as said by me before, they're floppy and ridiculous, which is very much still the case. Other than this, both games are almost exactly the same. Both have good collision physics, both are easy to pick up, either with telekinesis or a hitbox the size of with a hitbox the size of pre-nerf Roadhog's hook. Yeah, I think everyone who knows what I'm talking about will know what I'm talking about. The only other thing being a lack of weight on the part of Gorn, while Blade Sorcery feels a lot more realistic. But let's be honest, both of them feel better to use than Boneworks. Since we're talking about weapons and playstyles, I should probably tell you that these games have very different playstyles. As in Gorn, your main playstyle is just going to be rather blunt, while in Blade Sorcery you can do a myriad more stuff. Both games, you can shoot arrows at people, but it feels a lot more claustrophobic in Gorn because you're in this small arena. While Blade Sorcery, you can just zip-zop around everywhere, and it feels a lot bigger than it is, probably because everything in Gorn is much more oversized, especially the people. Look at that fat cunt up there.
Fight me.
Even aside from this though, in Gorn, most of the combat is, like I said, very blunt. You just punch people, or you hit them with a hammer, or you do this. The most you're going to have to do to get around someone is try and break their armor. But even then, once you do that, it's just a one shot to the heart and it's done. It feels a lot quicker and it feels less impactful. Meanwhile, in Blade and Sorcery, it feels a lot more like you're actually in a proper fight, waiting for the enemy to attack before blocking, giving you a chance to attack in return, or you can attack first and just keep the pressure on so that they are unable to attack. And yeah, I didn't talk about slow-mo, but it is actually very easy just to wait for an enemy to attack and then just slow-mo cut their throat off. I mean, it's boring, that's why I don't do it that much, but it is a very effective killing strategy. No one's going to cough at that. If you haven't noticed, I'm kind of running out of ideas to talk about things because these games are just so remarkably similar, it's hard to come up with anything at all. So I'm just going to touch on 2 final things. The first will be the final boss battle of Gorn, which I didn't actually realise was such a hot topic for being bad. Even though it's not, it feels fine, and you should all just shut up, because it's supposed to be anticlimactic. You didn't go through the entirety of Colossus trying to fight the Yeti. It's the second level, mate. What are you trying to expect? To put both these games simply, and everything I've explained up until this point, Gorn is very polished and very simple. Blade Sorcery is very complex and very unpolished. And very rough around the edges, I guess that's a better way to put it. Anyway, Gorn is for people who just want to punch people in the head or use a hammer on them, or just really cause a lot of pain without having to think too much. Blade Sorcery is for the people who appreciate the little more mechanics in their life and they want to block, grab people in specific reasons rather than just any point of their body, which I forgot to mention actually, sorry about that. Anyway, Gorn also has more of a loose storyline, so if you want to follow a storyline that doesn't take up half your brain capacity and it's basically different each time, Gorn might have something for you. Or if you don't care about any of that stuff, just go play Blade Sorcery and cut some people's heads off. Now that the conclusion's out of the way, I've got some few quick things I'd like to say to you. First of all, hey, if you haven't already subscribed, please go subscribe, because it'll be fun and you'll get to see more of my videos. Secondly, I'd like to say thank you for everyone's support on Willkak's Guide to Soundtracks. I know by far everyone thinks it's my favourite video, and so do I, to be honest. But I don't think I can make a video like that every single time, because for one, it seems to be a topic I can only talk about once, and I know I've already been hounded to do part 2. It's not happening anytime soon, folks, so sorry. But I can do more, like I said, more in that format, because there's a lot more I'd like to talk about. But for my next 3 videos, I'm going to be doing 1 on a game and 2-part special on something very interesting. So I hope you'll stick around for that one, and it'll be a lot longer and a lot better than this one. Like I said, I haven't actually said, have I? Anyway, I felt like I needed to talk about Blade Sorcery again because I felt like I didn't do it justice and I didn't do it well enough, and I felt like I needed to talk about Gorn because it's basically the exact same game, so why not knock out 2 birds with 1 stone? Hey, that's fun, isn't it? Anyway, I think that's all from me, boys. So yeah, I'll catch you later.
What is this? Golden pair of knickers on the wall. Dirty fuckers. You're a big man with a big heart. And an even bigger hitbox to abuse.